The first food ever approved by the FDA to carry a specific health claim wasn't a vegetable or a superfood supplement. It was oatmeal. And it happened in 1997, over a century after Americans started eating it for breakfast. Healthy American breakfast foods didn't evolve naturally. They were invented by religious health reformers, marketed by corporations, and popularized by hippies at Woodstock. Almost nothing on your morning plate exists for the reason you think it does. Oatmeal. Before the 1850s, Americans considered oats animal feed. The dictionary literally defined them as grain, given to horses in England but eaten by people only in Scotland. Ferdinand Schumacher changed that. A German immigrant in Akron, Ohio, he founded what would become Quaker Oats in 1850 and began marketing oatmeal as a meat substitute. Inexpensive, nutritious, and filling. At its peak, his jumbo plant produced 360,000 pounds of oatmeal daily. The Quaker name wasn't religious. None of the founders were actually Quakers. They chose it because Quakers had a reputation for honesty and integrity. In 1877, it became the first trademark ever registered for a breakfast cereal in America. Here's what made oatmeal revolutionary. Packaging. Before Quaker, oats were sold from open barrels at grocery stores, barrels that attracted rats and mice. Quaker sold oats in sealed cardboard boxes with that reassuring Quaker man printed on the front. Customers trusted it. The health claims came later. In 1997, Quaker presented the FDA with enough scientific evidence about oat fiber lowering cholesterol that the agency approved the first ever health claim for a specific food. The label now reads, "Soluble fiber from oatmeal, as part of a low saturated fat, low cholesterol diet, may reduce the risk of heart disease." Quick Oats appeared in 1922. Instant oatmeal in 1966. Flavored versions in the 1970s. What started as horse food became America's default healthy breakfast, though the flavored packets now contain enough sugar to undermine most of those heart benefits. Granola. Granola was invented in 1863 by Dr. James Caleb Jackson at his health spa in Dansville, New York. He called it granola, crumbled graham flour baked until crisp. Jackson believed illness originated in the digestive system and that cold cereal could cure sickness. His patients soaked the hard granules in milk overnight before eating them. It was health food in the most medicinal sense. John Harvey Kellogg copied the idea at his Battle Creek Sanitarium in Michigan, creating his own version. Jackson sued. Kellogg changed the name to granola and kept selling it. Then, granola disappeared for almost a century. It came back in the 1960s when a man named Leighton Gentry, nicknamed Johnny Granola Seed, created a new recipe using oats, wheat germ, and sesame seeds. He sold the rights to Sovex Natural Foods in 1964 for $3,000. The real explosion happened at Woodstock in 1969. When the festival ran out of food for its massive crowd, members of the Hog Farm commune handed out paper cups filled with granola. Hugh Romney, better known as Wavy Gravy, announced to hundreds of thousands of hungry concertgoers, "What we have in mind is breakfast in bed for 400,000. Granola became synonymous with the counterculture. Health food stores started stocking it. By 1972, Pet Incorporated launched Heartland Natural Cereal, the first mass-market granola. General Mills, Quaker, and Kellogg's quickly followed. The irony? Modern commercial granola is often loaded with sugar, oils, and artificial ingredients, sometimes containing more calories per serving than the sugary cereals it was meant to replace. A nutritionist at the Center for Science in the Public Interest called granola bars cookies masquerading as health food. Smoothies. Smoothies required two inventions that didn't exist until the 20th century, the electric blender and the home refrigerator. Stephen Poplawski invented the first electric blender in 1922, originally for soda fountain drinks. Fred Ozias improved the design in 1935, creating the Waring blender. He told a reporter it would revolutionize American drinks. He was right. Health food stores on the West Coast began selling blended fruit drinks in the 1930s, using recipes inspired by Brazilian fruit slushes. But smoothies remained a niche product until the health food movement of the 1960s and 70s, when juice bars and natural food stores spread across the country. The modern smoothie industry started with one lactose-intolerant teenager. In 1970, Steve Kunow couldn't drink the milkshakes his friends enjoyed, so he started blending frozen fruit with juice, protein powder, and vitamins. His friends loved the concoctions. In 1973, he opened the first Smoothie King in Louisiana. Smoothie King pioneered the idea of smoothies as functional nutrition, not just a drink, but a meal replacement or workout recovery tool. The concept exploded. Jamba Juice, Planet Smoothie, and Tropical Smoothie Calf followed. Even McDonald's and Dunkin' eventually added smoothies to their menus. Today, the smoothie industry generates roughly $5 billion annually. Green smoothies, blending vegetables like spinach and kale with fruit to mask the bitter taste, became popular in the 2000s as a way to increase vegetable intake without actually tasting vegetables. The health benefits depend entirely on what goes in. A smoothie with spinach, berries, and almond milk is legitimately nutritious. A smoothie with ice cream, chocolate syrup, and a token banana is dessert with better marketing. Avocado toast. Avocado toast wasn't invented in Brooklyn or Los Angeles. It came from Sydney, Australia. In 1993, a 22-year-old named Bill Granger opened a cafe called Bill's. He had no formal chef training and could only get a lease that allowed him to operate from 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. He had to make breakfast work. Granger focused on simple, healthy food that an inexperienced cook could execute consistently. One of his first dishes, avocado quarters on sourdough bread, dressed with lime juice, olive oil, and cilantro. In Sydney's warm climate, where athleticism was part of the culture, body-conscious customers loved it. The dish spread through Australian calf culture throughout the 1990s. When chef Jessica Koslow opened Skirl in Los Angeles in 2011, she brought the Australian calf model and avocado toast to America. Gwyneth Paltrow included it in her 2013 cookbook. Instagram did the rest. By 2016, avocado toast had become a cultural phenomenon and a meme. An Australian columnist suggested millennials could afford houses if they stopped buying $22 avocado toast, a comment that went viral and sparked international debate about generational economics. The health angle is legitimate. Avocados contain monounsaturated fats, fiber, potassium, and various vitamins. On whole grain bread, it's genuinely nutritious. The problem is that calf versions often cost $15.20 for something you could make at home for $3. Bill Granger died in December 2023 at age 54. When he received the Medal of the Order of Australia earlier that year, one newspaper joked the honor was for services to avocado on toast. Eggs. Eggs have been breakfast food since ancient Rome, possibly because chickens lay eggs in the morning, making them the freshest protein available at dawn. But eggs weren't always considered healthy. For decades, dietary guidelines warned against cholesterol, and eggs, containing about 186 milligrams per yolk, were treated as a heart risk. The American Heart Association once recommended limiting consumption to 3 per week. Recent research suggests dietary cholesterol has less impact on blood cholesterol than previously believed. The 2015 Dietary Guidelines for Americans removed the specific cholesterol limit, though they still recommend moderation. Eggs are now recognized as a complete protein source, containing all 9 essential amino acids. They're also one of the few natural food sources of vitamin D and choline, a nutrient important for brain function. The healthy preparation matters. Poached or boiled eggs are nutritionally different from eggs fried in butter or bacon grease. An egg white omelet with vegetables is different from a 3-egg cheese scramble cooked in a pool of oil. Egg consumption in America has rebounded since the cholesterol restrictions loosened. The average American now eats roughly 280 eggs per year, up from about 230 in the 1990s. Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt barely existed in American supermarkets before 2007. Now it dominates the yogurt aisle. The difference from regular yogurt is simple: straining. Greek yogurt is strained multiple times to remove liquid whey, resulting in a thicker texture and roughly twice the protein content. A typical serving contains 15-20 grams of protein compared to 6-8 grams in regular yogurt. Hamdi Ulukaya, a Turkish immigrant, founded Chobani in 2005 after buying a defunct Kraft yogurt factory in upstate New York. He started selling Greek yogurt in 2007. Within 5 years, Chobani had become one of the fastest-growing food companies in American history. The health appeal was straightforward: more protein, less sugar than many flavored regular yogurts, and probiotics that support gut health. Fitness-conscious consumers embraced it as a high-protein breakfast or snack. Greek yogurt's rise was so dramatic that it reshaped the entire dairy industry. Traditional yogurt brands scrambled to launch their own Greek versions. By 2013, Greek yogurt accounted for over half of all yogurt sales in America. The catch: flavored Greek yogurts often contain added sugar that undermines the health benefits. Plain Greek yogurt with fresh fruit is nutritious. Greek yogurt with a layer of fruit-flavored sugar at the bottom is closer to dessert. Whole grains. Whole grain bread, whole grain cereal, whole grain everything, the phrase dominates healthy breakfast marketing. But whole grains weren't always the standard. For most of the 20th century, refined white flour was considered superior. It was softer, stored longer, and signified wealth. Poor people ate coarse brown bread. White bread was modern and aspirational. The shift began with the natural food movement of the 1960s and 70s, but it took decades for whole grains to go mainstream. The 2005 Dietary Guidelines for Americans officially recommended that at least half of all grains consumed should be whole grains. The health logic is straightforward. Whole grains retain the bran and germ that are removed during refining. These contain fiber, B vitamins, and minerals. Refined grains are essentially the starchy middle with the nutritious outer layers stripped away. Whole grain breakfast options now include whole wheat toast, oatmeal, whole grain cereals, and granola made with whole oats. The fiber helps regulate blood sugar and keeps you fuller longer than refined alternatives. The marketing problem, made with whole grains, doesn't mean mostly whole grains. A product can contain a token amount of whole wheat flour and still be primarily refined. Reading ingredient lists matters more than reading front-of-package claims. The pattern. Every healthy American breakfast food follows the same arc, invented by health reformers or discovered by immigrant cultures, ignored for decades, then suddenly embraced when marketing caught up with nutrition science. Oatmeal was horse food until Quaker made it respectable. Granola was sanitarium fare until hippies made it cool. Smoothies were niche health store drinks until a lactose-intolerant teenager built an empire. Avocado toast was a simple calf item until Instagram made it iconic. The healthiest versions of these foods are usually the simplest plain oatmeal with fresh fruit, homemade granola without added sugar, smoothies with actual vegetables, eggs poached or boiled rather than fried in grease, sugar-loaded granola bars, smoothies that are basically milkshakes, avocado toast with enough toppings to double the calories. Healthy breakfast in America has always been a negotiation between what's actually nutritious and what companies can sell. Drop a comment with your go-to healthy breakfast.